Hi students, this marks the first of a series of videos that are going to introduce you to working with geometry 3D objects in 3D Studio Max. So in the previous tutorial we practiced how to navigate around our 3D space, and now we are going to practice putting objects in it and doing things with them. So the first thing that we're going to be doing in the lab is taking a look at the right hand side of the screen over here. This is known as the control panel or command panel. I rarely refer to it as that, but that's its official name. There is a lot going on over in this part of the software, and for today we are going to be focusing on this tab right here called the Create tab, and this is where we get all of the different types of objects, lights, shapes, and different things that we can put in our 3D scenes. And the Create tab has several different categories within it. Today we are going to be focusing on the Geometry tab, which is denoted by, it's supposed to be a sphere, and in here is where many of our basic 3D shapes reside. If we look here, we click on Standard Primitives, we'll see that there are a whole bunch of different menus that are available underneath Geometry, but the two we're going to be looking at today are Standard and Extended Primitives. So if we click on Extended, we'll see we have a whole bunch of other types of 3D shapes that we can make under that menu as well. Last but not least, down in the corner here, whatever the color is that's in this box, when you create one of these 3D objects is the color that that object is going to be when you make it. Okay, so let's see here. The first activity in the lab is to explore the different 3D objects that you can create and to make them in the viewport and sketch what they look like. So I'm just going to bring you through one of these, and the first one in the table, the name sphere has already been written in, and we can see sphere as an option right here. So if we want to make a sphere, we can click on the box there with the button, or the button with the title on it, and then with the left mouse button we can click and drag, and you'll notice that if you continue to hold the mouse button and slide back and forth, you can adjust the size of your sphere. So I'm going to let it go. And if we see over here, it always assigns a random color when you get started. So if you really want the sphere to be a different color, you can click on over here and we can make it dark blue and hit OK. We can also give the sphere a name right here as well. You don't have to do this, but if you take a look over on this side of the screen to the left, you'll see that we have a list that's been generated here, and it's a good practice to name your objects as you place them in your scene, because once you start working with more and more complex scenes, having 50 or 60 things called sphere 1, sphere 2, sphere 3, it's going to be really challenging to realize what it is that you're working with at any given time unless you name them specifically. So in this activity as well, the third column in our worksheet says parameters and what they do. And basically the intent for that is for you to come over here each time you click on one of these options and take a look at what you have here as things that you can adjust. So for our sphere, we have radius and we have segments. And right now, if we adjust the radius, since our sphere is still in the create stage, see how it still has this blue border around it, we can see that by adjusting the radius, the sphere gets larger and smaller. Now, if we adjust the segments of our sphere, we can see that in our wireframe viewports, we can see that we get more and more little segments that increase our detail of our sphere, just like that. So our two main parameters are radius and segments for sphere. Now there are some other things that we can do too. For example, the hemisphere actually allows you to only have a piece of the sphere showing, depending on how you drag it. So as you work through this exercise with the table where you're filling in the different types of geometry, go ahead and kind of experiment with each of these sliders as you create your object and kind of get an idea of what each of these actually does. Alright, So in the next video, we are going to talk about applying transformations to our simple 3D objects in our scenes. In other words, moving them around, rotating them, and changing how large or small they are. So that will be in the next video, and yep, that's it.